dribbling into this segment with basketball. To honor the Bahamas' 50th anniversary of independence, we on the SportsMax zone pay tribute to the impact the country has made on global sports. There is more for Bahamians to be proud about, as their male basketball setup has a chance of becoming the first team to represent the country at the Olympic Games, having secured a berth in the Olympic qualifiers. The Bahamians, led by NBA players Buddy Hield, DeAndre Ayton and Eric Gordon, dominated the pre-qualifying tournament in Argentina last month, defeating the 1996 Olympic bronze medalists twice. Their coach, Golden State Warriors assistant Chris DeMarco, was not surprised by their achievement. This is what he had to say. It was just a long time coming, man, to go from where we were at to have a chance, obvious, the next summer to make the Olympics and keep building this thing and keep building Bahamas basketball in general. There's a ton of talent, not just in the men's game and the women's side as well, and in the junior programs, and we want to showcase that. Coach Chris joins the zone for the first time ever, and we welcome him via Zoom. Chris DeMarco, it's a pleasure to have you on the SportsMax zone. First of all, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you should be doing great after a marvelous achievement on the part of the Bahamas men's team, one step closer to getting into the Olympic Games. Has it sort of sunk in yet, this fantastic performance that brings you oh so close to one of the ultimate goals?
Yeah, I mean, I think it has at this point. We were obviously ecstatic after the win. We spent a lot of time together. You know, we had 3 weeks together as a team, players, staff, and we were able to celebrate that night after we won. I think now that the World Cup is happening and you're seeing potentially who we might play next summer, you're starting to look forward a little bit now.
Chris, one of the things I wanted to ask you is this. I want to go back to the base of this, the source of this. What is it about the Bahamas why they're able to produce such amazing basketball talent? Because I grew up in the 1970s watching Magic Johnson and the Lakers because they're my team. And, of course, Michael Thompson, Klay Thompson's dad, was a big part of that team that won in 87 and 88. But we've seen it now transfer over to the Bahamas in a much more bigger way in terms of the talent coming out from that country of 400,000 people. What is it that you think has given birth to this kind of talent coming out of the Bahamas?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to pinpoint. Obviously, you brought Michael Thompson, you know, going #1 in the NBA draft. But I just think it's across all sports. I mean, you look at track, you look at MLB players, American football players, soccer players. There's just a ton of talent in general. But I think in basketball, there are avenues for players to succeed, you know, here in the States as well. And I think there's something about basketball that's just like captivating and people really enjoy watching it. And there's just this creativity to it. And I just think the more you put into like any sport, and the focus in the Bahamas a lot of time has been basketball, like eventually, you know, that talent shows.
One of the things about this team is the ability that you've managed to pull together all of this talent and make it click. Completely dominant over Cuba, you know, of course, beating Argentina. What is it? Give me a little idea of how this team works together. Eric Gordon obviously is a good ball handler, and we know about Buddy Hield and DeAndre Ayton. But, you know, normally you get a lot of talent, but to be able to get them to work together is one of the key things as a coach. Give me an idea of how that works for you in terms of bringing that talent and having it work together so effectively.
Yeah, I think that's what coaching is all about. And when I started doing this in 2019, being a part of this, we set out as a staff and an organization to find the best basketball players and people we could. And it's not about like, oh, this guy can dunk on somebody or this guy can score 40 points. Like, you have to find the right guys, and I think we've done that, and I think we're still trying to do that. You see somebody like Travis Munnings, who had 2 massive games against Argentina, and when you surround him with great talent, he can really showcase who he is, and that's just one of our players. But it's really what coaching is all about. You have to find a way for guys to come together and to gel. And, as a management or front office or whatever you want to call it, like, you've got to find the right pieces. And I think this past window, like, we found that. And I think going forward is as important as anything. It's not always about if you can beat your man off the dribble or, again, if you can get by somebody, dunk the ball. It's like, are you making your teammates better? Are you high character off the floor? We can only play 5 guys at a time, and it's really important that you have players and high character guys 1 through 12.
Yeah. Leighton mentioned Michael Thompson and Klay Thompson a short while ago. A lot of talk in recent days about the possibility of a Klay Thompson switching allegiance essentially and joining up with this Bahamian basketball team. Is there any serious chance of that happening from your standpoint?
Yeah, I'd rather not talk about that. I've obviously been around Klay Thompson for a long time, and his brother Michael, who played in the NBA, and he was a part of he was playing for us for the Bahamas forever, and now he's a part of the Bahamian staff. But yeah, I'd rather just talk about the success we've had so far and the guys who are here, and we do feel like we have enough right now. But yeah, the focus is definitely on the guys who are here, the guys who have played for us before, and the success we've had up to this point.
So okay, let's talk about that success or where this team can go. How good is this team, and how far can it go in your estimation? If we just saw Lithuania beat the United States, was it last week? What can this Bahamian team do in qualifying for the Olympics, and of course going even further? Can they win it all at FIBA?
Yeah, it's obviously going to be difficult, and I think that's what happens right now. Like, you floated Klay Thompson. There's been other NBA players that have been brought up playing for the Bahamas, and it doesn't matter what league you play in. Sometimes it's an advantage to not play in the NBA in these things because you have a familiarity with the ball, the rules. There's great FIBA players that have never played in the NBA. And you're seeing that with, even Lithuania, that, these games aren't played on paper, and it's a different game, and every possession means way more. There's way less possessions at FIBA. So, yeah, it's great to have some guys who play at what's considered the highest level, but it does matter when you have chemistry and synergy, and you brought it up earlier and alluded to with how important it is for us to find chemistry. It doesn't matter who's on the roster. So we like to have players who have played for us before, but when we don't, we have to get to knowing each other really quickly. But yeah, we have confidence, and we showed going into Argentina in a really, really tough environment, winning 2 games. We show that we have resilience in the makeup to win those types of games, and it's going to get a lot harder, and the margin of error is very slim. You get into this group for the qualifiers. I think there's 5 other teams. There's 4 groups. You have to win the whole thing to go to the Olympics. So we're excited for what we've accomplished up to this point, but nobody is throwing any celebrations right now. Our goal is to get to the Olympics.
A key part of any success of any team is the depth, huh? You're going to need a strong bench as well as a good starting 5. Give me an idea of what your bench will probably look like as you campaign further, and how much will that bench be essential to the success of this team?
Yeah, it's hard to say right now. A lot of it has to do with who's able to play. Some of these teams don't let players play. I don't know what the rules are surrounding that, but there's times where, we can't get guys that we thought we'd have in a window, because they just got to their team doesn't want them to leave, and they have to worry about, their families and, that stuff first. So it's hard to say right now, but our bench is going to be really important. And it wasn't this past window. Kentuan Smith gave us great minutes off the bench. Franco Miller gave us really good minutes. We've had success with players coming off our bench in a lot of these windows. So it's really important as you continue to watch the World Cup. It's pretty evident. Lithuania went, I think, 10 deep. Had a bunch of different guys make shots, and yeah, it's. I know with Golden State Warriors, we have the mantra to have strength in numbers, and it's the same with our national team.
Yeah, have you been able to gauge just yet what the achievement already getting to the final leg of Olympic qualifying next year means for the people of the Bahamas, the basketball community of the Bahamas, but even more so, what it could potentially mean to see the national basketball team perform at this level?
Yeah, I mean, I think just whether it's the text messages or the phone calls or just hearing about the buzz back in the Bahamas, I think you understand the gravity of the situation, and I think that's what we're trying to do as an organization right now, is just stay focused and be like, okay, this is a good thing. We're making progress, but we all want to take this thing to the next step, to the next level, and that's the Olympics. And going forward, we want to be able to compete in World Cups. Like, that hurts watching the World Cup and knowing that we're not in it. And I think when you look at that, it's going to be a struggle for any country that's as small as ours to compete in these windows in February and November, where, quite frankly, you don't have your best players. The college season's going on, the NBA season's going on. So what we have to do is find players that can help us compete in these windows where we don't have our quote-unquote best players, and see if we can compete for a World Cup one day as well.
Yeah, sounds fantastic. Chris, before we get out of here, I would not be forgiven by the Golden State fans if I didn't ask you this one. What can the Golden State fans of the Caribbean expect this year?
Yeah, I mean, we're expecting to have a great year. Our goal is always going to be to win an NBA championship, and we feel like we have the roster to do that. So yeah, we've had a really good off season, and I think everyone's excited to kind of turn the page from last season and get going on this next one.
Yeah, the Caribbean fans of Golden State Warriors will be quite excited to hear that. Chris DeMarco, it's been a pleasure chatting with you. All the very best with the Golden State Warriors and with the Bahamian national team as well. Take care. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's go to a break. We'll be back with more on the SportsMax Zone.